The Legend of Sanongguang Lake. Once upon a time, there lived two men, one blind and the other paralyzed. They lived isolated from the rest of society. They didn't live in the same house, but their homes were close together. The blind man's and the paralyzed man's houses weren't far apart, so they could still call out to each other. Their home was rarely visited, and it's hard to remember the last time anyone visited. The only exception was their pet dog, which they named Lawe. One day, the blind man was hungry and there was no fire to cook or burn something. The blind man then started to tell the paralytic about his situation. The paralytic felt sorry for the blind man, but what could he do? He couldn't walk to even bring firewood to the blind man. The blind man kept asking for help. The paralytic thought hard about how to help the blind man. He then found a plan that he thought was very good, namely by tying a fire bird to the tail of the lave, who happened to be at the paralytic's house at that time. The paralytic began to do it all by tying the fire bird to the lave's tail. After tying it to the lave's tail, the paralytic told the blind man to immediately call the lave. The blind man called out to Lave, and the call sounded as if food had been prepared for him in his house. The dog immediately jumped from the paralyzed man's house to the blind man's house, and at that moment, Lave's tail leaped forward, causing the burning stick tied to his tail to hit him. Lava was startled and thrashed around incoherently. Seeing Lava's behavior, the paralyzed man burst out laughing and the blind man also laughed, hearing the sound of Lava thrashing around. Instead of going to the blind man's house, Lava ran frantically trying to remove the foreign object tied to his tail. This incident was a fascinating spectacle for the paralyzed man, and they both laughed and laughed. At that moment, a sudden gust of wind came, and from a distance, a voice called out to the crippled and blind man. Blind, paralyzed. After arriving in front of them, the old man asked the blind and the lame man, "What do you want to eat? Do you want rice or porridge? Answer me quickly." The blind man replied, "We want porridge." The old man said, "Wait a minute." The old man stamped his spear into the ground. 5 minutes later, hot water gushed out from the ground. The water gushed out faster and faster, flooding the yard of the blind and lame man's house. At that moment, the old man disappeared while the blind and lame man screamed for help because they were already submerged in hot water because the water was getting bigger and bigger. But their screams were in vain, and finally the water flooded their yard, swept away the blind and layman, and from that moment on, a lake was formed, and the lake was named Sanongguang.